Now we are learning price elasticity demand. Price elasticity demand can be divided into 5: perfectly elastic, perfectly inelastic, elastic, inelastic and unitary demand. So let us see what is meant by perfectly elastic demand. So once more, what is price elasticity demand? It means it is a responsiveness of quantity demanded to a change in its price. When price of a commodity changes, how much change happens in the quantity demanded? The rate at which quantity demanded changes as a result of change in its price. That is price elasticity of demand. 5 kinds of price elasticity demand are there. First one, perfectly elastic demand. In case of perfectly elastic demand, how the demand curve will be? Of course, we have learned the demand curve slopes downwards from left to right. We have learned already, and so here we can see that there is x-axis. On the x-axis quantity demanded and y-axis price of the product as usual, and here we are drawing a horizontal curve. This is the demand curve. This is the shape of the demand curve if the elasticity of demand is perfectly elastic. What is meant by perfectly elastic demand? That means this consumer is, if the consumer is in this category or that commodity is in this category, when price of a commodity changes, all on a sudden the consumer is responding. That much responsiveness, that much perfectly elastic responsiveness means that if the price comes down from OD to very little, we can say a small slight decrease in the price of the commodity, slight decrease in the price of the commodity, the quantity demanded will increase infinitely. We don't know how much. We can see that suppose this is our OM is a quantity demanded, he will increase to OM1 or OM2 or OM3, like that it will go. That is, the demand curve will go like that. That means that when there is a slight decrease in the price of a commodity, quantity demanded increases infinitely. One thing. And if there is a slight increase in the price of the commodity, the consumer will reduce the consumption, curtail the consumption to zero. He will not consume the commodity at all. So when the price decreases, the demand curve will like that, any amount he will buy infinitely, the quantity demanded will go on increasing. But when the price increases, all on a sudden he will reduce the consumption. That means the curve is reaching here, means that he is consuming 0 unit. So in the case of the perfectly elastic, when there is a slight decrease in the price of the commodity, quantity demanded increases infinitely. And when the price of a commodity increases slightly, the quantity demanded decreases to 0. Here the elasticity is equal to infinite. How the elasticity is equal to infinite, that we will study under the measurement of elasticity of demand. Then comes perfectly inelastic. What is perfectly inelastic? In the case of the perfectly inelastic demand, the demand curve, so the same thing, x-axis quantity demanded, y-axis price. So here the demand curve will be a particular, you can see that it is a vertical line, it is parallel to the y-axis, So what is the thing? Suppose we can see OP is the price of the product, he will demand this much unit. When this much unit means OD units he is demanding, or OQ units, it is better to say OQ unit we are demanding. So this is demand curve, OQ units is demanding. When the price of the commodity increases to OP1, okay, when the price increases to OP1, then also is demanding OQ units. Then the price comes down to OP2, then also the consumer is demanding OQ units. This means that whatever may be the change in the price of the product, the quantity demanded remains constant. Quantity demand remains constant. For example, price of salt. When price of common salt it increases, we are not going to reduce the consumption. If the price decreases, we are not increasing the consumption. That is the best example we can say regarding perfectly inelastic demand. Here elasticity of demand is equal to 0. Here elasticity demand is equal to infinite. Here elasticity demand is equal to 0. I hope you understood two categories. First one perfectly elastic and second one perfectly inelastic. So we can move, that is, this is, now we are moving to what is elastic and what is inelastic demand. What is elastic and what is inelastic demand? Elastic demand comes 3, inelastic demand 4. So in the both category, one category, first one you know that consumer is that much responding towards the change in the price, and second category no change at all. Whatever the price, the consumer is consuming the same amount. So now we can see what about the elastic demand. In the case of elastic demand, there is when the price of a commodity changes, there is more than proportionate change in quantity demanded, as a result of change in the price of a commodity. Or in a simple way we can see, when there is a small change in price, there is a big change in quantity demanded. Or in a better way, other way we can say, there is more than proportionate change in quantity demanded as a result of change in the price of the product. It is known as elastic. So in the case of the elastic demand, we can draw line. This is the demand curve, and OP is the price of the product. Price comes down to OP1, that is a small change. See that, a small change in price, P to P1. That is, instead of OP price came down to OP1, but quantity demanded increases to OQ to OQ1. In a simple language we can say a small change in price of a commodity leads to a big change in quantity demanded. That means there is a more than proportionate change in quantity demanded as a result of change in the price of a commodity. This is here elasticity of demand is greater than 1. How it is measured I told you, we can study later on after this. So this is elasticity demand greater than 1. Then move to the inelastic demand. Inelastic demand we can write in another way. There is less than proportionate change in quantity demanded as a result of change in the price of the product, or we can say a big change in price of a commodity leads to a small change in quantity demanded. A big change in price of a commodity leads to a small change in quantity demanded. OP is the price of the product. The price comes down to OP1 and demand increased. How much? OQ to OQ1. But which one? A big change in the price of a commodity leads to a small change in the quantity demanded. Here elasticity of demand is lesser than 1. So elastic and inelastic. How you can draw the curves without making mistake? You understand what is perfectly elastic? Earlier we have seen it is like horizontal. So when you draw the elastic, otherwise you will rub and draw again and again. So you see that this curve is some identity, some similarities regarding perfect elastic demand. So it should be little flatter. If you draw a flatter curve, most often, see, a small change will lead to a bigger change. And here we have seen that it is inelastic. This way we have drawn. So if you draw that same way, some similarity we can say, see some steeper line you draw. So of course you will get automatically, you know that, see that. So that is the way you have to draw the diagram. Anyway you draw and learn, don't draw this I know, not like that, you have to draw, write points and like that you study, then it will be easier for you. So here elastic demand is lesser than 1. Then one more category, that is unitary elastic demand. That is unitary elastic demand. What is unitary elastic demand? Unitary elastic demand means proportionate change in quantity demanded as a result of change in price of the commodity. The first one, more than proportionate, less than proportionate. Now unitary elastic demand, or elastic demand is unity. That way also we can say. In the unitary elastic demand, there is proportionate change in quantity demanded as a result of change in price of the product. Here the shape of the demand curve will be rectangular hyperbola. Rectangular hyperbola, that means here while you draw the diagram, you should take the measurement from the scale and you have to draw. Suppose here I am taking a measurement. We can see that 1, 2, 3, that means that is quantity demanded. Here 5, 10, 15 price. At 15 rupees, the quantity demanded is 1. At 15 rupees, quantity demand is 1 kilogram. And when the price came down by 10%, 10 units, there is a decline. The same way the quantity demanded increased. And make the locus as a demand curve, DD. So, but while you take, I made little difference here. Proportion, little changes. So when you draw the diagram, yes. So this is the thing. See that when you make the expenditure method, this one and this one should be equal. That means here we have seen 3. 5 into 3, 15, and 1 into 15, 15. That way the area will be correct. It should be correct. Here some mistake is there, but anyway area should be correct. Like that you will get. So that is rectangular hyperbola. That means you can draw this way, and you can draw this way, and here what you getting here, like that it comes. So this area should be, and that is in the total expenditure method. Expenditure will remain constant. How much decreases price? That much. Suppose 100 rupee you taken and went to buy a commodity. There you want to spend 100 rupee to buy X, but there you came to know that the price of X has decreased. Then also you will spend 100 rupee itself to buy the commodity. That is the principle behind the unitary elastic. In the case of unitary elastic, elasticity of demand is equal to 1. Elasticity of demand is equal to 1. So these are the 5 kinds of price elasticity demand, and this comes under the proportionate method. Really, price elasticity demand, it comes under the proportionate method of elasticity of demand. That is how we are getting this elasticity demand is equal to 1. Or in another way also we can say that what is a percentage method of elasticity of demand. Next one is percentage method of elasticity of demand. Percentage or proportionate method of elasticity of demand. How we will measure the proportion in proportion method of elasticity demand? Then how we will measure the elasticity demand? 3 ways we can measure the elasticity demand. One is proportion method, another one is expenditure method, and another one is geometric method. So proportion method we can see what is change in Q, that is the change in quantity demanded divided by quantity demanded, the whole divided by change in price divided by original price. So through this equation we have to use to find out whether it is equal to 1 or less than 1 or infinite or 0. So in the case of proportionate method, change in quantity demanded divided by original quantity, the whole divided by change in price divided by price. That means delta Q by Q into P by delta P. That is one method of measuring elasticity of demand. Then what about expenditure method? In the expenditure method, when price of a commodity decreases, the expenditure on that commodity will increase. That is elastic demand. Elastic demand, when price of a commodity decreases, expenditure constant, that I told you now, that is unitary demand, and when price decreases, expenditure decreases, that is inelastic demand. So example, with the example, expenditure method, when price of a commodity decreases, expenditure increases. That is he wants to spend 100 rupee, but when he reaches the market, he came to know that price of the commodity has declined. What he will do? He will spend some more amount to buy that commodity. That means that the person is the person is showing more response towards the change in the price of a commodity. Then another one is that whatever the price, he will spend that only. When the price decreases, the expenditure remains constant. He does not want to change. 100 rupee he wants to spend, that 100 rupee he will spend for that commodity. The other category is inelastic. He is not that much responsive towards a decrease in the price. He will spend less. Okay, I needed this much only. Because of the decrease in the price, I don't want to spend more. This is expenditure method. On the other way also you have to study, but I think it is better to say price decreases, more he buys, that is elastic. When he spends less, it is inelastic. When he spends the same, that is unitary elastic demand. Then comes geometric method. Geometric method. What about the geometric method? The geometric method, we are assuming a demand curve like this way, a demand curve, straight line, and from 45-degree line you draw, you will get a line here, middle one here. So here elasticity demand is equal to 1, middle one, elasticity demand is greater than 1, here elasticity demand is infinite, here elasticity demand is less than 1, here elasticity demand is equal to 0. So this method we call it as geometric method. Geometric method. This method is known as expenditure method. Earlier 5 kinds we had drawn. When that is proportion method or percentage method, how we used to measure. And here geometric method. In the geometric method, how we will measure the elasticity demand? That means lower segment elasticity of demand is equal to lower segment divided by upper segment. Lower segment divided by upper segment. That means suppose this is the AB is the demand curve. Suppose you want to measure here elasticity of demand. So here we have measured CB divided by CA. I am assuming that the same equal distance, CB is the lower limit, CA is the upper limit, CB divided by CA. You know that the same that you will get is equal to 1. And here this is lower portion D. Here at point D, so this is a point at C. Then at point D, DB is the less amount, and divided by DA, you are getting anyway, you will get a point like that, maybe less than 1. Elasticity of demand is, you will get the answer less than 1. Next at point B, At point B, lower limit means that 0 divided by BA or AB, BA, we can see that here nothing is there, nothing is in my hand. How can I distribute it? No, I cannot distribute, isn't it? 0 is the answer. Here comes 0. It is better to write 0 itself, that is good. Then here at point D, E, EB at point D, EB divided by EA, that is a larger portion divided by a smaller portion, definitely you will get more than 1 will be the answer, more than 1 will be the answer. So elasticity demand is more than 1. Then at point A, lower segment is AB, AB is a lower segment, and at A there is 0. Anything is divided by 0, that is the answer will be infinite. So this is the way how you have to measure elasticity demand. This is geometric method. CBSE's +2 syllabus last year it was there, now it has changed, but anyway the geometric method and expenditure method is not included there. Anyway state syllabus it may be there. So anyway understand geometric method how it is lower segment divided by upper segment, here through expenditure method, and the other one is proportionate or percentage method. Proportion method, percentage method also I told delta Q by Q the whole divided by delta P by P. Instead of we can say suppose 20% change in quantity demanded divided by 20% change in price. This is another method. Percentage method also can be written as proportion method. This is percentage method. This is here 1, you can see that is equal to 1. Suppose 40% change in quantity demanded and 10% or 20% change in price. Then so you can see that answer is 2. So that is answer is greater than 1. Greater than 1 means elastic. Suppose 20% change and quantity demanded and 40% change in price, 20 by 40, anyway the answer is less than 1. Like that you can categorize into perfectly elastic, elastic, inelastic, unitary, and perfectly inelastic. So I hope you understood different kinds of elasticity demand. Once more I will tell you what is elasticity demand. Elasticity demand means the responsiveness of quantity demanded to the change in the price of a commodity, or the rate at which the quantity demand changes as a result of change in the price of a commodity. Then that is elasticity, price elasticity demand. Then price elasticity demand can be measured by proportion method or percentage method, then income method, expenditure method and geometric method. There in the proportion method we can learn 5 kinds of elasticity demand, or in simple way what are the 5 kinds of elasticity demand also. No need to ask proportion method, just 5 kinds of elasticity demand you can mention that. It is not necessary that it should come under the proportion method or percentage method. Then separately you can study what is percentage method, then income expenditure method, and another name also there, outlay method. Expenditure method is written as, expenditure method can be written as outlay method or revenue method. This is another names, or revenue method. That is another method we can say. Expenditure method can be written as expenditure method, outlay method, or revenue method. That is something higher level. So that is the thing. Then geometric method, this is a geometric method you have to, but here there is a price commodity and here the quantity demanded. So there is price elasticity demand. Then what is income elasticity demand? When income changes, when a consumer's income changes, what change happens in the quantity demanded? Then the cross elasticity demand. What is cross elasticity demand? When quantity demand changes as a result of change in the price of another commodity. Quantity demand changes as a result of change in the price of another commodity. It is about substitute goods and complementary goods. We already take what is substitute goods and complementary goods. I hope you understood what is meant by elasticity of demand.